Okay, so like remember that time in school, when everyone was crowded around and oh man, it was just well, let's just say it was a mess.
Oh, yeah, I think we all have those kind of memories from school, right?
Totally. But today we're tackling something way more serious.
Right.
You guys requested a deep dive into bullying.
That's right. Bullying in
I'm going to
schools.
break it down.
Mhm.
Physical, verbal, social, and cyberbullying.
Yeah.
The whole shebang. And get this, there's even this weird connection to, wait for it, stand-up comedy.
That's right. And it's funny you mention memories because sometimes we forget how long the effects of bullying can actually last.
Oh, totally. Like you think you've moved on and then bam, something brings it all back. So we're going to get into all that. But first, let's just like get the basics out of the way.
Sure.
Physical bullying, I mean, it's the one everyone pictures, right?
Yeah.
Shoving, hitting, kicking, that kind of stuff. But there's like a whole other layer to it.
Absolutely. It's not just about the physical pain. It's the emotional part, the fear, feeling humiliated. And that can stick with you for a really long time. I mean, studies actually show that people who were physically bullied are more likely to have anxiety, depression, even PTSD later in life.
Or PTSD. I honestly had no idea it could be that serious.
It can be.
So I got to ask, are schools even doing anything about this? I mean, they've got those anti-bullying posters and stuff, but is it actually helping?
Well, it's complicated. People are definitely more aware of it now than they used to be.
Yeah.
But there's still so much more that needs to be done, like figuring out how to actually prevent it from happening in the first place. Some schools are starting to do some really cool things, though, like programs to help kids develop empathy and learn better social skills.
That's awesome, like teaching them to actually understand each other.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to verbal bullying.
Hmm.
Like, remember those awful nicknames or those jokes that weren't even remotely funny? I can still remember one from middle school, and it, like, totally stuck with me. Even though I tried to act like it didn't bother me,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's the thing about verbal bullying. It's sneaky.
Yeah.
People brush it off as, oh, they're just words, but they can do real damage just as much as physical bullying, honestly. It can totally wreck your self-esteem, make you feel like you're worthless, like you don't belong anywhere.
It's almost like they're messing with your head, making you doubt yourself.
Exactly.
Then there's social bullying. That one's, like, even harder to spot. It's all about, like, playing these social games, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about relationships and how they're used to hurt someone, spreading rumors, leaving someone out on purpose, using peer pressure to make them feel isolated. It's all about damaging their reputation and turning people against them.
It's like they're being, like, erased from the group.
Yeah, it's a very isolating experience.
And then, of course, you've got cyberbullying, which takes it all online. That's a whole other can of worms. So.
Absolutely. We've seen some really awful cases in the news lately where online harassment has had devastating consequences.
It's scary how intense it can get.
It is. And the fact that it's often anonymous makes it even worse. The bullies feel like they can say anything because they think they can't be held accountable.
Right. Like they can hide behind their screens.
Exactly. And it's a 204/7 thing. The victim can't escape it. It's always there.
It's like this constant pressure, and parents and teachers are often scrambling to keep up with all the new apps and websites. It's like a whole new world.
It is, and it's changing all the time. But one thing that's becoming clear is that all these different forms of bullying, they're not separate. They're all connected.
Like pieces of the same puzzle, right?
Exactly. Cyberbullying, for example, often starts offline. It just moves online. It's an extension of those same power dynamics that are already happening in person.
It's like a whole ecosystem of like negativity and aggression.
Right.
So earlier you mentioned this link to stand-up comedy, and I've been dying to hear more about that. How did that even work?
Well, it's interesting how some comedians use humor to kind of process and deal with painful experiences, and that includes bullying. They take those memories, which are often really tough, and turn them into something that makes people laugh. And in doing so, they're not only helping themselves, they're also shedding light on a serious issue.
Like they're taking something negative and making it positive.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, hey, this happened to me and it was awful, but you know what? I can laugh about it now, and maybe by sharing my story, I can help someone else who's going through the same thing.
That's powerful. Do you have any examples of comedians who do that?
Oh, yeah, tons. Think about comedians who joke about being awkward teenagers or being picked on for how they look.
Yeah.
They're not making fun of the experience itself. They're using humor to cope and to connect with their audience.
It's like they're taking that pain and turning it into something that can actually help people.
Exactly.
So after all this, what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
Whether you were bullied yourself or saw it happening to someone else, the important thing is to understand how much it can hurt and how long those effects can last.
Right.
It's about recognizing the signs, whether it's physical, verbal, social, or online. And it's about speaking up, about not letting it slide, and creating an environment where everyone feels safe and respected.
Because at the end of the day, everyone deserves to feel like they belong, you know?
Exactly.
And it starts with understanding how bullying works and being willing to do something about it.
I completely agree.
So thanks for tuning in to this deep dive on bullying. It's a tough topic, but it's so important to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And hopefully by understanding it better, we can all play a part in making things better.
That's the goal.
All right. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
See ya.
Bye.